and like the other the other character. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I just kind of thought that was a little bit forced, but it also didn't take up that much time, so whatever. I mean, the action was good, the world building was interesting. It actually made me kind of want to see it a sequel if they ever made one. I think that has a lot of potential for a sequel. Uh, Based on like because they made this like sort of really interesting world. It didn't have that much time to sort of expand upon it because a lot of it did take place on like the above ground world. It's kind of like Thor. That's the closest thing I can think of to compare it to. Except instead of Asgard, it's underwater Atlantis. Yeah, I liked the main character. Um, he was pretty cool. Aquaman, you know. And they got like this really like good looking actor to play him, so that was nice. Uh, there's a lot of like, I think the DC movies are kind of like infamous for being like grimdark and like taking themselves way too seriously. But in Aquaman is sort of seen as like a subversion from that. It had, it wasn't like a comedy focused movie, but it had quite a bit of like humor in it. It was sort of like tonally similar to like the Marvel movies. Maybe not quite as funny, but maybe like sort of like the Captain America movies, where it's like those are a little bit more serious than most of the Marvel stuff, as opposed to like Iron Man, who's pretty goofy, Guardians of the Galaxy, who are really goofy, Ant Man, who's very goofy, like Thor, who in the first two movies it didn't have that much comedy in it. There is some like the famous "This drink, I like it, another" scene, which was a meme, but it's the first two movies were kind of more serious, on the serious side. Not Ragnarok. No, Ragnarok is totally goofy, and I love it for that. Anyways, let's not get into a tangent about that. Point is, I liked Aquaman. And the third movie I saw was Ralph Breaks the Internet, the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. And for some background, Wreck-It Ralph is like one of my favorite movies ever. I just love that movie. It was the first movie I ever saw in theaters twice. Since then, I've seen some movies in theater 3 times. That usually have to do with Star Wars for whatever reason. But yeah, I fell in love with that movie. I love the world building in it. I love the characters, and like the plot is just very like well executed. It has one of the best uses of the very overused twist villain trope with King Candy. Like Disney's become infamous for just like running that into the ground and just make kind of not really even doing it well. Like with Frozen, Zootopia. I love Zootopia, but that's one criticism which I can understand is the main villain being kind of forgettable. And even in some Pixar movies, like Lotso from Toy Story 3 is also, I think, a decent example. But then there's also Screenslaver from The Incredibles 2, who's kind of eh. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked again. I love Wreck-It Ralph. It's my favorite, like, non-Pixar animated movie. And it's my favorite non-Pixar Disney movie. Because most of the ones that came up before I was born, that, like, Beauty and the Beast, I haven't seen. So, but anyways, Ralph, so I was keeping a close eye on Ralph Breaks the Internet. I kind of expected it to just kind of be like pretty good, but not as good as the original, because that's how most sequels are. And well, honestly, I had pretty mixed feelings about it. There's some things which I really just rubbed me the wrong way about it. Like, and I got sixth place, and that's not good. Because I started talking about Wreck-It Ralph, and I got distracted, and I stopped doing as well. Good for me. So yeah, I guess my opinion on the movie is I don't hate it, but I can't really say that I liked it that much. I could get into like the nitty gritty and pick it apart, but I need to focus on this race. Also, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. Although it's been in theaters since like November, so at this point that's your fault if you haven't seen it yet. I don't know, I'm still kind of trying to collect my thoughts about what exactly was with it that kind of... There's a few things about it that sort of rubbed me the wrong way. A few things which like I did like but didn't get enough time. A few things that I did genuinely like, but also weren't executed perfectly. It's better than the Emoji Movie. I haven't seen the Emoji Movie. I don't actually know. But I just heard that movie is awful. I don't really want to see it, so there's that. Although it is on Netflix, so I could. But I don't really believe in hate watching. I don't believe in going to see a movie if I expect I'm not going to like it. So, yeah. That's Ralph Breaks the Internet. Like, okay, the reason why I made that comparison is because the Emoji Movie and Ralph Breaks the Internet kind of have, like, some similar things about their premise. Like, they're both sort of about the internet and, like, technology. And that's why people compare the two, even though, like, it's come on. Like, Ralph was not going to be as bad as the Emoji Movie. Like, there's no way that was going to happen. Disney is not that stupid. Yet. As much as I have some criticisms of their recent business practices, I don't think they'd ever stoop that low. Speaking of the Emoji Movie, though, that was made by Sony Pictures Animation, which is a studio that has a bad reputation. I've only actually seen I haven't seen very many of their movies before, because until Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which, like as I said, is great, and I think everyone should watch it if you're even slightly interested in Spider-Man and superheroes in general. And even if you're not, if you're just like an animation fan, you might want to go check it out for the interesting style. And like, but anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Before that movie, the only Sony movies I had seen were Surf's Up, which I hadn't seen. I remember liking it, but it's been so long since I've seen it, I barely remember it. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, which I also remember liking, but I also didn't really watch it because the story was I was at a band camp and I had a movie night, except it was just everyone in the band hall and they had the movie playing, but it was so loud in there because everyone else was just talking and messing around that I couldn't actually hear the TV. So I watched the movie. I couldn't hear it. Gosh, that stupid UFO. And then I think that's it. I don't think I have seen any of their other movies other than those two. Like, there might be something... Like, I've never seen any of the Hotel Transylvanias. I've never seen any of the Smurfs movies. I don't really want to. So yeah. But yeah, like I said, Spider-Man was great. And due to their bad reputation, especially recently with the Emoji Movie, and also their other movies since then, The Star and Hotel Transylvania 3, were kind of seen as like okay, not really great movies. And the Emoji Movie is like hated viscerally by everyone in the animation reviewing community. So whenever I didn't realize that Spider-Verse was being made by Sony. I thought it was being made by Disney, because Marvel. even though Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man and actually made Spider-Man Homecoming. I think they made it like in collaboration with Marvel Studios, but or something like that. There's something weird going on with that. It's still considered like a Sony movie, even though it's still in Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know, that's weird, but I was expecting it to be like a Disney-made movie, but it wasn't. I didn't realize that until we got to the very end, and it said it was a Sony Pictures movie, and I was like, wait, really? Sony made this? Like, given the bad reputation it had, I was surprised, like, that they could pull off something that great and, like, creative. Uh... I think I was going somewhere with that, but I don't really remember where. Yeah, Spider-Man, just all over the place, man. Like, Sony had the rights to Spider-Man. They made the original trilogy, which, as I said, I've never seen. And it's back to this. I checked out the first movie to check it out because I've never seen it. They made the Amazing Spider-Man. They rebooted it, and I did see the Amazing Spider-Man in theaters. I remember it being like decent. Then they made a sequel to that, which I think was like not very good, I want to say, but I never saw it. My friend saw it, Anrika actually, and he said they had like a dubstep villain who like played dubstep music whenever he was around. So that sounds interesting. But then the Marvel Cinematic Universe was a thing, and Disney was all like, hey man, we want to get Spider-Man in here. He's like the most popular Marvel hero. But then Sony was like, I don't know about that. But they eventually were able to work it out. So they rebooted Spider-Man again. And so, obviously, people who are fans of the Amazing Spider-Man were a little bit miffed about that. Because that means that there's never going to be a third one. I mean, there probably wasn't going to be one anyway, but... Alright, let's switch to Laluza because... Laluza isn't feeling too good. Apply for the Grand Prix. Let's do this. And for that, I need to go pray and also check my mail. Alright, sweet. I don't think I'm gonna do the Grand Prix in this recording session because I've already been recording for a while and I think I'd get burnt out if I tried to go for that long. Oh really? More mail. And a mail. And a mail. Something. You know Boina in Yankee Town? She's a fortune teller on the street. She can change your name. I don't really want to change my name, but thank you. I mean, I guess I could. That'd be fun, but just change it to something like ridiculous. Alright, let's go. Anyway, Spider-Man. And then, like, Spider-Verse was coming out. I was like, so they're making another movie about Spider-Man. After they just rebooted it for the second time in, like, 10 years. And this time it's going to be animated. But it actually kind of turned out pretty well, because it's something which Disney and, like, Marvel Studios would probably not do. At least, and it's, like, unique enough from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's sort of like a Deadpool situation where people aren't really bothered by it existing. And yeah, that's that. But 2018 was like the year of Spider-Man, considering the movie and also his very prominent role in Infinity War